Oh, I've been waiting for this episode for a while. We're ready to roll. It's episode 7 of 84 Feet with Cady and Cap. I'm Brian Cady. That's all the Academy Girls Varsity Basketball coach Brian Capitula. Bry Guy, what's going on, man? How you doing?
I'm good. Good long week already. Thought today was Wednesday and it's Thursday again. Messed the days up and went to sign in on Monday for school and thought it was the 27th and it wasn't the 27th. So it's that kind of week.
So you're mentally a week behind all of us.
Oh yeah, I'm behind. I think I got home last night. I think 10:30. I've been home 3 nights this week, and this is the 4th night. So it's the first night I'm in my house by 8 o'clock. So,
FYI, because I just heard it out of the over here. If you hear any random clinking or clanking or anything like that, there's apparently a piece of siding loose outside, and it keeps, when the wind blows, it's occasionally banging on the air conditioner.
Yep.
Because, why would the piece of siding be anywhere else on the house? Anyways, don't forget, if you want to follow us on X, or as I like to call it, Twitter X, at 84 Feet Podcast. Also, if you have any long-form comments, questions, concerns, 84 Feet Podcast at gmail.com. And if you watch us on YouTube, thank you. Like the video, comment, subscribe to the channel. If you're listening on Spotify, also subscribe to the channel, leave a review, tell everyone in the Spotify world how much you love our show, and that's that. That all being said, we are rapidly approaching Mother's Day weekend, which means another live recruiting tournament. The live recruiting portion of Gym Rat, because now it's split into 2 pieces. There's the live recruiting one, then there's the real Gym Rat. Well, not real. The other Gym Rat that's a month later for the girls. Whatever, that you get it. But we have a pair of guests I'm looking forward to having on, because one family I know probably too well for my own good. The other has legendary bloodline that was celebrated recently, as the father of this girl was inducted to the New York State Basketball Hall of Fame recently. So we basically have Colonie Central royalty coming on the show, representing the Class AAA Section 2 champions out of Colonie Central. The freshman power duo of Aliyah, Pearson, and Trimarchi. Ladies, hello, how are you?
Hi.
Hello.
Now, what did I say that made you laugh? Is it because I was making fun of the piece of siding, or was it something else?
Yes, the siding.
I'm not even a homeowner. It's just an apartment. But I gotta tell you, I want to throw something out the window right now because that's annoying me, and I'm just weird like that. First things first, we got into a little debate before the program, so I have to bring it up here because it's something that I've been very annoyed by over the years. What is with the fad with the jeans with the holes that are designer, and I'll use that in very loose air quotes. Like what? I don't get it. I don't get it. I mean, also I'm a dude, so of course it doesn't make sense to me. But in general, why are you having your parents pay more for less material? That doesn't make sense to me.
I don't know. I mean, I feel like I don't really wear them that often, but everyone wears them now. It's kind of like the style, so we just go with it.
Yeah. I like it because it's the style, and in the summer, like, it's like less hot.
Yeah.
More air.
Mm-hmm.
So she just wears shorts then?
Yeah, I guess, but like if we are going out to dinner or something, like a nicer place,
Right.
I feel like that's what we would usually wear.
Yeah, I agree.
Cap, why are you agreeing with them?
Because I agree with them.
And you have a daughter, so yeah, okay, go ahead, whatever.
No one wears shorts. That's not. People don't really wear shorts as much anymore.
Yeah.
I wear shorts as long as I possibly can throughout the year. I don't care if it's 35 degrees out. I'm wearing shorts because I can. But anyways, Cap, go ahead.
Yeah.
So you guys, congratulations on a great season. First, it was fun.
Thank
to watch.
you.
It was fun to watch you guys. It's been fun to watch you guys, and having your fathers coach you all through Capital District leagues and stuff like that. Like knowing that you guys were coming to like be high school players at some point, but how do you feel like, how important do you think like going through the Capital District leagues and like having your fathers be around as like two of the better coaches we probably have in those leagues, maybe the best coaches in those leagues? Like how much do you think they taught you to be ready for your first high school season and have the success you guys had?
I know like our dads have always like they're like the reason that like we are to where we are now. Like we like do everything with them, like workouts outside of practices and stuff. And I mean, we wouldn't be like where we are now and what we did like without their coaching to help us.
Yeah, I think they pushed us really hard, like when we were still young in Capital District, and they made like us focus on the little things like defense and like form shooting, passing from a young age, and then it just all got easier when we were older because we've been focused on it for so long.
Well, since you jumped right into the family aspect, I'm going to address both of your families separately here. First off, I'll begin with the one that I like to get more educated on out of the two. So obviously, this is a picture from just recently from the aforementioned New York State Basketball Hall of Fame dinner that I mentioned. So obviously, your father Joe is the one right there with the grayish suit on, and then holy crap, I didn't realize you were. Are you actually taller than your older sister, Macy? Or is that?
I have really tall heels on in that picture.
Okay. And then obviously
But-
that's your brother Cam in the background. So yeah, just
Yeah.
first off, talk about that dinner and what that meant for the family to see your father get recognized in that manner.
It was like a great experience because he's always supporting us and like always coming to our banquets and our like success. And it was like fun to support him and see him like talking at that.
And then obviously, I mentioned your two older siblings, Cam, who just had a great season in his own right in his senior year at Colonie Central, and then Macy, who just finished, oh, don't quote me, her sophomore year at Damon. And that team went to the Elite Eight of the Division II NCAA tournament. So it seemed like if your last name was Trimarchi, it's been a great last 6 months.
Yeah.
But let me focus in specifically on Macy because obviously her being the oldest, and being your sister, I mean, that's what kind of motivation did you get from watching her play and watching her development eventually get to where she is now, being at Damon and playing Division II and being at that level?
Yeah, so I think watching her has motivated me because like watching her play at the college level, obviously, like that's something I want to do too. And just seeing how hard she worked to get to where she is now, like it makes me want to work harder so that I can get to hopefully like play at the college level too.
And then I'll come back to Cam to wrap up the whole Trimarchi hierarchy of sorts. Like I mentioned, he just finished his senior year at Colonie Central. That had to be a fun 4 months or so because they're going on a wild ride, doing their thing. Him and Julius just killing it throughout the season, and then obviously, your season starting a little slow, which we'll get to later because of your injury. But then you guys ramped up when everybody was back and healthy and together, and obviously your run all the way to the state regional finals. And both of you can actually chime in on this. The general feeling of both teams doing so well at the same time and just riding that wave together. I mean, had to really, in a sense, sharing that success kind of bring both teams a little bit closer together and have that mutual, feeling of, because I remember seeing some of the boys come to those sectional games at Hudson Valley and really going crazy. So really had to bring both of those teams that much closer together, having that mutual success at the same time.
Yeah.
It was nice because I feel like we were both like supportive of each other no matter what, and like the coaches, we were all like close, so it was nice to have that bond with each other, and it was nice to have their support.
Yeah. It was weird because like even in the past I feel like the boys like not that they didn't support the girls, but like seeing them on the sideline of our game was like, wow, like they really care about our season, and because we care about theirs so much too. Like we'd be running from our games to get to theirs so that we could hopefully catch the end of the fourth quarter.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just good to see them on our sideline and the coaches supporting each other.
I got to jump in real quick because I know Cap wants to ask a question, but I have to because you mentioned a very good point, and I remember this being something that your parents were, more so your mother was a little bit vocal about, especially during sectionals.
Yeah.
The balancing back and forth between your games and Cam's games, and then also somehow trying to see Macy as much as they can playing a D2 schedule. It's kind of a pain in the butt a little bit, to be quite honest. Now, obviously, there's not a whole lot we can do about scheduling, but like, I mean, your parents being able to be around as much as they can for both of you. I mean, obviously, I would say both of you were a bit impressed at their willingness to go the extra miles, not just a mile, miles between schools and games, just to make sure you both got the support that you appreciate.
Yeah, so at the beginning of the season, they did like a draft. So, like, they would pick what games they wanted to go to. And so, but actually, when I got injured, and it's Cam's senior year, so they didn't come to my games. They went to his, obviously, because I wasn't playing anyway. And then, like, I feel like the hardest part about that was definitely sectionals because the boys were playing at Glens Falls against CBA, and we were playing at Hudson Valley against Shen. And those are two, like, rival kind of schools for us. But it could have been my brother's last game, so they couldn't come to mine, which was hard.
It's never easy. So Aliyah, I have a question. Just this is like a schedule question because you were playing those early games. So you guys like started the season 5-7, like that was your initial record, and then you guys finished the season like 10-1, basically going into sectionals. So you guys went on a pretty good win streak there. What do you think? Like obviously injuries and getting everyone back healthy with a couple of the girls, but like what changed from the first like 12 games to the last 12 games?
So in the beginning of the season, we had obviously Ella and Gab out, which was like really hard because, I mean, we still did have them at practices and games, and they were always there and showing up no matter they were playing or not. But it was hard because they're like two of our key players, and I think towards the end, since like they didn't have the whole season they were playing, they really like brought us up, and we played like a team at the end, which is what we needed in the beginning, but. I'm just happy that we're able to like push through and get it together at the end.
Right. All right, good.
I'm glad that you brought that up, Cap, because I'm just going to go through here real quick. I have my 2024 sectional championship handbook here. I look at this roster, and based on the conversations I had with one Mr. Pearson, let me make sure I have my facts straight. So obviously, when you guys played at Amsterdam, which was the first time I saw your team at the Holiday Showcase, Gabrielle Martin and you, Ella, were both out with your own injuries because of that. Then at one point, if I remember correctly, Tegan Clancy was hurt. Kendall Abraham was hurt, but kind of playing through it. Gianna DeGonza was hurt. And I guess there was a specific game, and don't quote me when it was because coach did not tell me. There was a game against Bethlehem where you only had 8 girls. Like that struggle early on.
Yeah.
It had to. That struggle early on with being so limited with the amount of bodies you have, while you're still trying to get your feet under you, get your fitness in, and build up the repetitions and the energy to, understand the varsity game and get a feel for that as much as you can. Because this was your first year as varsity. You were on JV last year, which, it's a bit of a different animal than varsity. So, I had to increase the difficulties for the two of you, particularly just, trying to get a feel for team chemistry and stuff like that.
I mean, we had a bond with like a lot of the girls, seeing as like our older sisters, like we already knew them. So as we were like playing with them, we like all played great together, and like especially like the Bethlehem game was like hard as like we're like losing some girls at that game, and we had gotten already like in that season so well at playing together, or at least just like being there for each other. In that game, it was just a little bit rough to get everything together.
Yeah, and I think like going back to Capital District again, like me, Aliyah, Liv, and Allie all played together on our last year on Capital District, which I think helped us like come together, and then open gyms and stuff, like we were playing together. And I think that even once we came back to practice, like it just clicked immediately once we had a practice with every girl there.
That's one thing that I think you guys always have had, like the pretty good, and I think Coach does a really good job of that, and your guys' like environment and culture. But I like just looking from the inside out, like you guys have a really good energy. Like there's young energy, there's older energy that you know who the leaders are. So that's once you guys are healthy, we're like, all right, well, they're gonna get healthy, and everyone better watch out when it happens. So, but in terms of like the sectional stuff, so you guys were quick to get to Hudson Valley. In terms of like how AAA works out, like was your second game Hudson Valley? You guys didn't play a first round game, or did you guys play? You guys played a first round game and then got there. So your second game of like your sectional careers, unless you guys did you get brought up last year at the end of the year for sectionals or no? So your second sectional game ever is the semifinal game against Shen. What were your guys' nerves like going into that game, knowing you're playing in a big environment?
Before the game, like I remember we would be in the locker room, and like the seniors, they've gone through this, so like they were all just like there for us. We were like trying to calm down, but like I feel like those nerves like helped us like in the long run during the games. Like it just made us like play harder. And in the beginning, it was nerve-wracking, but like it was also so exciting because that's always like what we've wanted to do.
Yeah, like I feel like standing right before I was about to go on at Hudson Valley was like so like intimidating and scary, but once I stepped on the court, it was like the same it is playing at the Mug or at like
and it's
anywhere.
It's nice to play in that environment with like all that energy. I think we like picked up like from that, and we played great that game.
And then the final game, just I'll go two questions in a row. The final game, so Ella, you have 20, Aliyah, you have 18, and for some reason they decided like, all right, we're just going to let her shoot every time down the court, which wasn't the best game plan. But I know watching it, I'm like, are they going to pick her up? Because that's like her third three. There's her fourth one. So did it change too? Like now that once you went through it in the semifinal game, like was the final game like, hey, now we're through this. We're kind of like, it's just basketball, or was there still like the little bit of like, man, this is the section at AA final and I'm a ninth grader?
I feel like after the Shen game, we had set, like we knew what we were capable of now, so we set new goals for the next game because it wasn't over yet. And coming into the Shaker game, like the energy, it like got even like more energy than the first game, which we didn't know was even possible. So going into that, I think we knew what we had to do.
Yeah, I felt like in the Shaker game I had more energy because like the student section was crazy for us there. Like we never really had like a student section like that, and just having all those Colonie people there supporting us was like a big energy thing.
You mentioned the student section, and that reminds me of something real quick. There is, I think, an assistant coach from the boys team who
Yeah.
You know who I'm getting at.
Yeah.
Can you fill me in on who he is and what it was that? Because I remember he did something at the end of the game after the awards ceremony ended, and I can't remember what it was. I just remember seeing him and be like, I remember him from because he did the same thing after the boys sectional game that was at Hudson Valley, like a week and a half prior to that. So who is that? What was that whole thing post game?
So that's he goes to everything. Like he's like one of our number one supporters. Like in the hallways, like he's always getting us ready for our games, and he talks to me like every day, always excited about. Like he's always caught up on everything. So he brings the energy wherever he is, and he's one of our biggest supporters.
Yeah. Coach Tuck, like ever since I was young, like going to the boys' travel practices, he's always like stopped and like coached me or let me play with the boys. And that was always, and then he always, at the end of the games, I think you're talking about like the claps.
Mhm.
He gets the student section to do the claps with him. That's the best. Like
Yeah.
being there for that and like being the ones that are cheering on, not the ones cheering, was great.
Okay, so I want to just verify. He is a coach. He's not just some random.
No, he's you
He's
better
not
do
just
your,
some random faculty member from Colonie Central.
no, you need to
decided to-
do your homework on Tuck. He's like a legend. So
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, all right.
yeah.
That's on me, I guess. So, sorry about that.
No, he's like a Colony standard. I think he's just a basketball standard in the area. Like whether he's a coach for the City Rocks or he was a referee, like he refs as well, or he's in the men's league, you would play. But him and Coach Davis do a great job. And I think like it's weird, like they both bring like super youthful energy, which is what I think a lot of the girls like feed off of, that youthful energy. So now with you guys, like having obviously like with Coach Tobias and then having your father also as a coach, like on the bench, what is that? We've asked this before to people that have had coaches on the bench. Like, what is that dynamic like for you, Aliyah? Like having your father not only like have basically been your coach since you got to high school and now being like a coach on the bench for you for high school. What is that dynamic like? Like, do you listen to what he says on the bench? Do you more like listening to Coach Tobias, or are you like hearing his voice more?
Well, since like my sisters have played for him too and on their high school team, so I've always looked forward to doing that because yes, he's been like coach for like other things, but I've just always been excited for that. And like I always like listen to Coach Tobias, and like when I'm going over mid game, like asking a question, it's just nice to have both of their opinions there because they're both great at like both of those things. So it's just nice to have two opinions on like what I need to do, and it's good.
Is there like a look that he can give you, like when you do something that he doesn't have to say anything, but it's just like, I'm going to give you this look that you've seen 500 times. You better turn it up.
And I feel like that's also where part of my motivation comes from because Coach Tobias, she's always pushing us to be our best, and also like my dad there, that's also something he's good at. He's always like, I feel like a motivator for our team.
That's great.
So I'll ask the awkward question that Cap doesn't want to ask.
Oh man.
Are there any car rides home you guys have had where you're just like, Dad, shut up. I know we sucked. Let it go. We got another game down the road. Like not necessarily that frank, but like, I mean, you're out there, you're playing. You know when either you had an off game or the team had an off game. Every moment you're just like, listen, I'm in my feels. I don't want to talk about it. Just let it go. Ever any of that? Either of you, because obviously, Joe's a New York State Hall of Famer, and George is, well, he's George. So
yeah, I think that's a big part of like how we play now too, because after those games, I feel like yes, they would like get on us, but that's definitely made a big impact on us because they're always just kind of trying to help us and critique things that like we need to work on, which I think definitely helped me and like motivated me to get better at those things than just like yelling at me for certain things. It was more helpful, I think.
Yeah, I agree. Like it's hard like to listen sometimes in the car after like you either didn't play well or could have played better, but I just know that he's doing it because he wants the best for me. So
how much feedback do either one of you get? Like Aliyah, you had both your sisters as college basketball players, and you'll have your brother will play college basketball somewhere. I think he's still probably the most underrated player, like for whatever reason in the whole area. But I feel like he's one of our best players. But having your sister play, like how much advice do you get from any of your siblings, like about either a game or if you have a tough game, like, is that someone that you ever call to get like more advice from, or are they able to like, are they just quick to give feedback without really asking?
I think so. My dad, like, he knows he's giving me like things that I need to do better in the games, and then my sisters have been through this. They already know what he's probably gonna say on the way home, so they know exactly what to say. Like if I call Annalise or Ava, they're like, "It's okay, like you did good," and all this stuff. I think that they've always kind of just made me because my dad, he motivates me to get better, and I think they make it like enjoyable too because they know what it's like. So I know that it's all gonna be okay.
Yeah, I think the same. I kind of relate to my brother a lot in that area because I feel like me and him play pretty similar. And so Cam, like after I have a bad game, he always like either offers to like give me a ride or like text me. And then Macy, I know I can always call because she's just always there.
So I actually have a funny story. Speaking of Macy, real quick. Well, actually, speaking of Macy and Cam, I think it's funny. You might not, but I think it's funny. So I'm trying to remember because I announced a couple of games for Cam this year. Because if I remember correctly, Colonie also played right before Christmas in the Coaches versus Cancer event that Eric Medved put together. I think they want to play. I think they played a game at Siena for that. The weekend they were at Siena, not the weekend at Hudson Valley. And then, obviously, like I mentioned, the sectional game, the sectional quarterfinals, they played at Hudson Valley. So it's a sectional quarterfinal game. And Cam would attest to this. He didn't have a very good first half. And so he was on the bench. He was subbed out very early in the third quarter for whatever reason. I think he was just carrying over his questionable play. And Coach Davis wasn't very happy. So he finally comes back to check in late in the third quarter. And he takes a knee right in front of me like, Cam, why can't you just play like your damn sister? What are you doing out there? And needless to say, he laughed, but I saw he was like, oh, okay. And then, of course, what does he do the last 10 minutes of the game? Goes off. So I thought you would appreciate that. But when it comes to, I just want to bring up Macy again real quick, though. Is there ever a point where you saw Macy, I don't know, say like in this atmosphere when Aliyah's standing in front of the whole line? Yep, I told you I had some weird, embarrassing photos of your father. I warned you. Because Macy's about halfway back in the warm-up penny. Annalise is there in the 25, about 4 back behind Aliyah, and Aliyah's right there in the front. When you're watching those games growing up with your older sisters, and you're seeing what they're doing now, like, and because it's well documented how, no offense, Albany and Shen were all the talk of Double A for a lot of years recently, and then you get into Triple A, it's like, oh, even less teams, and great, they're both there. Did seeing their, lack of a better phrase, struggles against those two teams make this feel even better for you guys when you were able to pull off what you did this year? Just because I know you didn't see Albany because they're on the other side of the sectional bracket, but the fact that you got through Shen, who's been like the Wicked Witch for a lot of programs in Section 2, and then you're able to beat your crosstown rival in the final in Shaker. I mean, just to kind of get that monkey off the Colonie back, it had to be a pretty good feeling, especially given the family histories there.
Yeah, so but like before our Shen game, Macy was like you need to go beat them because like basically because she didn't. She was like, you need to go beat them like right now, and I was like, no, yeah, like okay, I will, I'll try. And I just feel like I go into every game with the same mindset. Like it doesn't really change depending on the opponent. Like every game I'm going in trying to play my hardest, trying to play the best I can, but like definitely with games like Albany, which I didn't get to play in this year, but Shen, Shaker, like those games definitely like big rivalries that I'm like hyped up for before.
I agree. Like the last year game against Albany, that definitely motivated me this year to I like all those games. They just motivated me to just pick that up and like get that win for my sisters. So I always think back to that, and even like those older girls, they've always been big motivations to me too. Like watching like their games were like some of my favorite to watch. I just love watching how they played together, and that's what I wanted for us this year, and I think we brought that.
You guys have started like AAU season. Obviously, you had your first like big event a few weeks ago. You guys both play for Havoc, which is great. Obviously, everyone knows that program as an Under Armour program. How do you feel like you guys like that first? Obviously, that first live period is always really quick. Like you have literally your high school season ends like a month, then you have a month to prepare for like a live period where coaches are going to be out watching you and being in front of them. Like, number one, I was able to see some of your guys' games. Like, so how do you feel like you guys did, number one? But like number two, how do you feel like were you more prepared this year because of you guys like had the high school season that you had, or was it so much? Is it just so different that really the high school you don't take anything from you when you go to AAU?
I think mostly for me, I take like the advice from my coaches. Like I get two completely different advice from like my AAU coaches from like my high school coaches. I mean, they are kind of the same. Like high school, I think they definitely told us to, when we get to AAU, they're not going to stress as much the little details because we've already all grown so much. So just to remember kind of like the small things like boxing out, things like that we focused so much on high school that I brought to AAU. And I think this live period, that was very exciting for me. And I thought that it was just a great experience in front of all the coaches. It was fun.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of like my fundamentals come from Colonie because at Havoc it's more like your effort. You need to be going hard at all times. And Terrence does a great job like preparing us for the live period, obviously. But like from a young age at Colonie, like between the camps and like open gyms since like second grade, just like the fundamentals that have been stressed all this time helped me a lot in like the live period in AAU.
All right, so I'm going to turn back the clock to a 10-year younger version of me for a second here to give the background of my relationship with the Pearson family. So, I'm going to show a little picture here. If you're watching on YouTube, it'll make sense. So this is the on display in Cole Gymnasium on the campus of Russell Sage College in their gym in their Albany campus. And if you check the top right-hand corner of the 1,000 career point scoring list, is a young lady named Frankie Pearson. Now, Frankie Pearson is a cousin of Aliyah's. And my first 4 years of doing PA announcing for basketball were the 4 years Frankie played at Sage. And then from there, I met your father, and then Annalise through Sparks when I was helping coach there for a couple years with Meg Bowman, who now coached at SUNY Cobleskill. And then we just kept in touch through the years. So my question being, going back to Frankie real quick, how much interaction did you have with Frankie growing up, especially when she was playing those 4 years down in Albany, closer to home for you than Hoosick Falls when she was in high school? And how much do you stay in contact with her, and how much did she help you at all with your development as far as being a player and giving advice and that sort?
So when I was like younger, when my sisters were playing AU for like when my dad was coaching and my dad had Frankie coaching with him, she was like always with us. Like every travel tournament we had, she was always riding up with us, which was actually great for us. She's like the most positive person I know. So her and my dad, like they really like balance each other out. My dad like motivates us, and she's just like so positive and is always telling us like the good stuff we do and things like that. So she's always just been such a great like leader for me to look up to, and I think like I look up to her a lot, and I still see her like a lot, and it's great.
She is rather bubbly and overly positive, isn't she?
Yeah, she's always been like to when we go to Annalise's RPI games. Like I just love being around her. She's just such a great person.
And I also remember she was at your sectional games and being one of the biggest cheerleaders sitting with your mother.
Yeah.
But also, you probably didn't catch because you were too busy playing a game. But there was a point where I'm trying to remember. You hit a big three towards the end of the Shen game in sectionals, and I think I made a call. I think I said something like it's in her blood, Aliyah Pearson for 3, something like that. Just so you know, the inspiration was Frankie. So I was trying to draw a 10-year line down for you there.
Yeah, when like after that game, I walked out of the locker room and she gave me like the biggest hug. She was like, I may have shed a few tears after that. Like I just hope to like live up to that, like what she did, like with her 1,000 points. Like she's always been a big inspiration to me.
Now going into next year, obviously you guys, and it happened with us this year, and to a point, but now you don't like any kind of like cover that you guys might have had. Like the target is now on you guys from winning this year, and like going into next year. So, what do you guys feel like going into next year, like in being the reigning champions and the defending champions, and no one will ever take that from you. So don't like that'll be great. That'll be something you guys will have forever. But now that you have like a target on your back, meaning like everyone knows you're coming. How do you feel like your preparation and things like that for next season will change, or will it change at all, or will it kind of just stay the same? Like how hard you guys have always worked?
I think that we knew this year was going to be a little bit different. We had like a pretty new team with a bunch of new girls coming up. So we had it like not a lot of people were expecting us, but towards the end of the season, like especially after the Shen game or like after our first Shaker game, people knew like what we were more capable of. So coming into sectionals, I think that we knew what to expect. But for next year, like since we know what we're capable of, we're gonna just keep building off of that, and that's definitely motivation, and that's what coach is gonna use to get us to work harder and get back to where we were this year.
Yeah, I think that losing our seniors from this year, we had like a really good connection, especially as freshmen, like coming onto like a big stage on varsity, like having those seniors was so important. But I think now we are going to be able to step into more of a leader role with the girls coming up, and we want obviously to do more than we did this year, try to hopefully get past like regionals. And I think that having like a target on our back will help us work harder.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, I'm going to put a bow on the family talk for now, real quick. I want to bring up this photo quick. This is from Aliyah's, the middle girl of the 3. This was from Ava's high school graduation last year. You look at that picture, Aliyah. Ella mentioned, the impact of her father and her parents trying to, balance between going to games. It's been a little different for you because there's been I don't know if this was pre-planned between your parents, but a good 3-year space in between each kid. So it's kind of like, all right, one moves on. Okay, now we got this one and move on. Now you're pretty much like the sole focus because one's out in Dewville, one's at RPI, and I mean, I know that Annalise is still crashing cars rolling down the driveway, but nonetheless, yes, I know that story. But like this family, I mean, it's a basketball family, but it's a really tight knit family. Just explain how much your family has meant to you, just beyond basketball, just in general, into where you are today.
My family means like everything to me. My mom is my biggest supporter. She's like the one that's like bringing me to everything. My dad, he's like the basketball guy. He's telling me like what I need to do. My mom's always there for support. Like whatever I need, I go to her. And having my sisters playing college, like from Annalise, like her first year at RPI, like I saw the battles that she had to go through kind of, and same with Ava this year. But they both just show me like motivation and what I need to do. And even like playing in the backyard for like we've always done that. Like I've always just wanted to be like better than them, and that's kind of most of my motivation.
I have a quick question. Put that picture back up. There's 2 things in that picture. One thing you've already touched on, and we won't go over it again, but who decorates? Like who has the ability to get a sign like that, and then who does the balloon arches?
My mom did the balloon arch and the sign like that. She's very creative with that stuff. Like for my sister's senior night, she's always like been like good at that stuff.
That's awesome.
I could have answered that question, but that's whatever. Go ahead. Although, Mr. Pearson, he does have a friend that does graphics very well, apparently. So, if you're the senior night posters with like the big vertical ones, I'm pretty sure that was taken care of by your father. But like anything else involving balloons and that stuff, that's all. That's all the misses.
That's all, Mom.
What was the other, no? What was the other thing you were going to mention that I already took care of? Is it the jeans?
Yeah, she has ripped jeans on. That's what I thought that was the obvious thing.
Okay, well, I feel like jean shorts. It wasn't as like dressy enough. I feel like that was
Yeah,
reasonable.
It's the style. Like it's just the style. You have to get over it, Brian. It's the style. I'm gonna get. I'll be getting Brian a pair of them. So once you guys, next time you see him, he'll have those on.
The less skin I show, the better for everyone in the world. But no, there's no. You didn't mention the other part though. Look at the jeans on her older sister. No holes.
Okay.
No holes at all.
She's older. She doesn't know the style these days. Well,
Listen.
that's the style for like her, but like.
Are you trying to say something about kids that go to RPI? Is that what you're doing right here?
No, not at all. But like, it's like different now. Like I feel like even Ava, she doesn't always wear holes in her jeans. Like there's just like a difference there.
Listen, at least you would know to put salt down in the driveway before you try backing out of it.
Yeah, that was. I would never do that. That was embarrassing.
And if Annalise, you're listening or watching this, I'm sorry. I had to. I couldn't help myself. Well, it's her fault for telling me the story.
She told you?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought my dad told you.
No, because she.
I don't know why she did that to herself.
No, because what happened was, I think it was the week, because that happened, I think, like, rewind. I was filling an announcing for RPI one weekend, and she was kind of banged up at the time, too. I think she was hurt at the time as well. So I asked her about the injury, and then she was like, oh, it's been such a week. I got her at practice Monday, and then Wednesday, I was backing out on the driveway, but it was icy, and I crashed into a car across the street. I'm like, oh, timeout, what? And I was like, yeah. So, yeah, she told on herself there. So
yeah,
Cap,
and I don't think that's the first time she's done that either.
So, Cap, you can't shake your head at me. It's her own fault for telling me the story. She gave me the ammo. Anyways, okay, yes. So, I know I already showed some of these to you before we started recording, but we're gonna go through like a little photo album here. It's been like a weird tradition. It's been kind of happening on the show when we have guests on. So I'm just gonna roll through some of these real quick. First, let's start with let's go back to Havoc for a quick second here, because there's this picture with Aliyah, Mr. Shields, whose daughter Audrey is just finishing up her time at Emma Willard, and she's going on to play ball in college. And then on the other side is who I affectionately call the mayor. I'll be Ryan Moses, the father of Alex Moses, who's going to Canisius, just finished her time at Dwaynesburg. What's it like being around these two? Because they're Ryan's a character and a half himself, and Jim's like the stoic, quiet one who just speaks up whenever he needs to teach something, it seems like.
So that was like one of my best AU years like ever. Having them both on like with me is just great because like they're amazing coaches, but also we had like a connection too. It wasn't just always they were going hard on me, like they were always giving me like great advice. And Coach Shields yesterday at practice, he was talking to me. He's always just giving me good advice. He's a great supporter. They both are. So, and they're always there for me. Like I still like tell them like news and stuff like that, and they're always here to listen.
Ella, I'm assuming you've come across Coach Moses.
Yeah.
He's like the male version of Frankie Pearson. Like he's always smiling.
Yeah.
He's always bubbly. He's shaking hands and kissing babies everywhere he goes. I mean, that's why I call him the mayor. He literally just seems to know anyone and everyone he comes in contact with. It's kind of annoying, honestly, isn't it? Just a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He's the best though.
He is. I love them. And
Yeah,
they were such great coaches too. That year was so much fun.
Let's see here. We're gonna try to go. Oh, I know something I didn't bring up before. We need to find out the origins of something, cause I saw YouTube post for this picture, after the sectional title game. But it comes from this. First of all, how old are you guys in this?
It was 4th grade.
And whose idea was this pose?
Okay, I think was it you?
Yeah. It was my idea, but it was
It was a group
It was
effort.
a group effort. It was a group decision.
And then
I'm glad
just-
we did it. Remember?
And then it just evolved 5 years later to this. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
pretty cool for full circle moment. Is that going to happen every year you guys win?
Yeah.
Because
Mm-hmm.
I'm a knock on wood. That wasn't a jinx. Just saying. What else we got here? Oh, I want to bring up these ladies for a second. These would be the 6 seniors from this year's team. Make sure I got my program out here. Make sure I got this right. So left to right, we got Tegan Clancy, Tori Riddick, Gianna DeGonza, Grace Mary Bauman, Gabrielle Martin, and Kendall Abraham. I know we talked about your older siblings and their impact on your game and your development. What did having those 6 on this team this specific year, when everyone that's around them is, except for like 1 or 2 others, you're all freshmen and sophomores around these 6 seniors. So you're all growing up under their tutelage and development, and in live time, you're basically developing with them around you as your teammates. What did that senior class this year mean for the development of the 2 of you and everyone else that was, underclassmen playing on that squad this year?
I think like they were like big sisters to us too. Like we looked up to them like the same way we looked up to our sisters. Some of them we've known for like a while, and we had like a great bond on and off the court, and they always like brought that leadership, and that's like what we needed to get through this year.
Yeah, starting like at our very first tournament, we were nervous because it was our first varsity game, and like the night before at the hotel, they were all so like nice, and we had such a great bond. And I mean, I'm gonna single out Tori, because Tori at practice, she brings the most energy
Yeah.
I've ever seen in my life. She's always clapping, always cheering us on. And then obviously all of the other ones, they're so motivational and just such great leaders.
And I'm going to give props to a parent, by the way. Gabrielle Martin's father. He's just so darn nice. Because
Yeah.
he did the scorebook for every game I've announced for Colonie the last few years. He's always doing the scorebook, and he's just, shout out Mr. Martin. You're a joy to be around. Just putting that out there. You're a joy. He's cool. He's cool by me.
He told me
all right.
something different about you, but that's nice you say good things about him.
Listen, he's had to put up with me at games at Amsterdam, at Hudson Valley, at Colonie High, at Averill Park. Like, wouldn't shock me if he's talking crap about me. It's okay. It's all good. I mean, crap. I mean, Aliyah's father talks stuff about me, so it's all right. All right. I don't think it's embarrassing, but Aliyah's gonna think it's embarrassing. Hi. So.
Got no shoes on.
Yeah. What? There's 2 of them.
I think my shorts will go down to my knees.
Why is that at least the only child with shoes on? Like, I'm trying to think of where this would be.
This was probably in DC. It was Blue Star, so it might have been Washington DC.
How old is this picture?
Like that's so old. Oh my gosh, I was so little.
7th grade, 8th grade, maybe. Like for, so they would have been.
This would be 8 years ago then.
Yes, I was
6.
I was 6.
Okay. I'm gonna leave that one alone. Next. This one you can thank Aliyah's father for again.
We were talking about that the other day.
Oh my gosh.
So if
Yes, those.
correct, that's the Voorheesville score table right there, I believe.
On the other side, yep.
Yep, that's the black horses. I can kind of tell by the logo and the general school colors of the padding. What? Those are all dolls, right? That are on the floor?
Yeah. So we were always in the gym because like at least one of our siblings had like a game or something. So our parents just try to find anything to occupy us for being in the gym for like every hour of every day. So we would just bring in random stuff and just play like on the court.
Yeah, and I just remember like going to the store with my mom before a game, and like I'd be like, "Mom, like I have to get toys because immediately I have to play."
So when did you go from playing with toys and Barbies on the court to playing with a basketball? When did that transition happen?
I think it was both at the same time. I think after that long day, we watched the basketball all day, and I know our dads probably wanted us to be actually watching the game, but I mean,
Okay.
Yeah.
toys were cool too.
Do you guys
Toys
still
are
have
fun.
whose dolls were those, and do you still have them, by the way?
They were both of ours. We had Shopkins.
No, that bag was like the dolls.
Those
I
were
think
dolls. Those were like dolls where we like did their hair and stuff and other things,
Mhm,
but
those were fun.
we shared.
All right, and then this, I'm guessing this is from. Is this like CYBL, like youth league? I'm guessing right here.
Yeah.
Third grade.
Mm-hmm.
I know which
Yes.
one's Ella. Ella's the top left, second in. Okay.
Yeah.
And then Aliyah, is that you on the bottom with the basketball on your knee?
Yeah.
That doesn't look much different than the age you probably were in. All right, never mind. It's different. Yeah, okay, never mind. So this was probably what, like 5th grade, maybe? If I
I was
guess?
third
Third.
grade.
Third.
Yeah, we were in third grade in that picture.
Mhm, I remember
But
that.
we were on the 4th grade team, so there was I think like 5 third graders, 5 4th graders.
All right, it's the last one I've got, and then I have a follow up question to it. Y'all like your slushies, don't you?
Yes.
And I know where this is. I'm pretty sure this is Union College, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Smells.
Yeah.
That gym smells.
It's,
Yeah, I know.
That's because it's all rubber. What do you want them to do? Okay.
It's the wood. It's just like when it bakes.
The
It has
court.
like you're going to that gym when you're going to that gym. Like you know that it's gonna smell like.
Nah, dude, you should. When it gets to like May and June, try playing in the actual gym there, the main gym with no AC.
Oh
or
yeah,
fans on.
that's
Yeah, that's where our
Jeff has his
practices
thing.
are.
That
Yeah.
was the only thing I was not a fan of during coaching AAU. Would be those May and June days where there was even practices. We could have like 8 kids from our team and 8 kids from the older team playing on the opposite end of the court, and
Right.
that gym was still hotter
They
than
have
hell.
one door you can open.
Yeah.
And it wasn't even really near the court, really.
No, it's on the other far end.
Right. That's just dumb. And then so the part of the gym we're talking about that's actually in this picture. So to educate those who may not have been to Union College before. So the gym, the add-on part that has the actual basketball court gym that like the Union basketball team uses, that was added on and attached to an old like armory kind of building that had older courts in there that are all rubber. So it's like 2 completely different buildings meshed together into one. You have like the modern fancy kind of building, and then if you walk in and go right instead of left, you're walking into what you think is like an old airport hangar kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like World War II kind of style, like all wood, rubber courts. But yeah, who's the bigger fan of the slushies? It looks like Ella because she's got more of it on her face right now.
So those were like
That was probably like our third one that day.
yeah, we would go crazy for those, but
Mhm.
those were like he was like okay, like you played and then you have to go get Polish
Yeah,
ice, and it was
yeah.
like it
Like
made
the
it
multiple
10
games,
times better.
The multiple games a day, we needed our Polish ice.
So that was the post game treat. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Or
Where's the-
pregame.
where are the
We're like
headbands
in the
go?
middle.
Why'd the headbands go away? Why don't they stay out?
I don't know.
I kind of
Some
wish they were
days.
still a thing, but like I loved wearing my headbands. I had so many colors.
Bring it back. Headband Trimarchi.
Yes.
You can bring it back.
Yeah,
Bring it
I'll bring it back next season.
All right. I need to attack one last thing before, not attack, but I need to bring something up real quick before we go. Have either of you seen or heard of the movie Forrest Gump?
Yes.
Okay. Do you remember what Forrest would call himself and Jenny? throughout the movie? What did he compare them to? Cap probably knows the answer to this.
Box of chocolates.
No.
I don't
That's
know.
what life was like. No. You never know what you're gonna get. No. Peas and carrots. You two. I'm trying to think if there's anybody. I honestly can't think of a pair on high school or college level that are more attached to the hip to each other than the two of you. And that's not meant to be a bad thing. It's completely a compliment because in a way it shows on the court too, because I remember seeing it. Like Aliyah could be bringing the ball up and give a look, and then Ella's just kind of like giving a little head nod, like go left, don't go right. And Aliyah's like, gotcha, and then just like are y'all never around each other at any point? Like, do the two families live in like a duplex together? Like, what is this?
So me and like I think it's been so like beneficial to our game having like a relationship like this where we've known each other for so long that we don't even like have to say words to know what the other one's gonna do. Like in I think it was our Shen game, like when I kept driving to the corner and I would back cut every time. That's what I wanted her to do, and we just like she just read my mind every time, and it always worked. And I think it really like helped too because even if like I didn't even know like what I needed to do at that time, like Ella was always there to kind of get me like settled down too.
Yeah, and I mean, it always started because we learned basketball the same way because since we've been in that gym playing with those toys, we've always seen it. We've always seen it the same way because our dads were always together coaching like our siblings. And then as we came up and coached, like they always coached us the right way to play basketball. So then we just both play the right way. And I think our games complement each other very well.
Mm-hmm. And we both know like how each other plays, like exactly.
And I know like if Aliyah has 4 threes, I'm just going to give her the ball and let her shoot again.
Have you ever guys had an argument? Like, what's the one thing that you ever have an argument over if you're around each other so much?
I really don't think.
We don't argue.
I think we're just always like kind of on the same page.
Oh, hold on. So y'all basically grew up together, like side by side, and y'all never been mad at each other. Like y'all
like
never
the
went
toy
20,
stage.
like have you guys ever gone 24 hours without talking to each other because of how mad you are at one another?
No, definitely not.
Just squash the beef right there and then.
Yeah, there's not normally beef to squash. Like,
right. Yeah.
I Cap, you have any parting words? I have to wrap my head around that real quick.
No, I just think it's going to be fun to see you guys the next few years, and I think it's the support you guys got towards the end of the year. Obviously, like Colin, this was a topic like probably 3 or 4 weeks ago, but like Colonie's boys games have forever been sold out. Like they have full gyms and things like that. So to see the support that you guys got towards the end of the year, like with your student sections and things like that, I think the more better. I told Brian this too. Like I think our best players in our area are like the 9th, 10th grade. Like those 2 classes, there's like a really special group of 26s, 27s that are coming that are may be better than some of the classes we've had that have come through this section too. Like, and we've had some really good ones the last couple of years. So you guys obviously will help lead that charge, but I think like you guys just keep doing what you're doing. I think you guys are growing something really good at that school and having like good attitudes and being like really good role models for the kids. Now you guys are role models. Like you guys think of yourself as kids still. Now you've become the role models. So you're definitely really 2 great kids to look up to for everybody locally, and just know like people are rooting you guys on. So
thank you.
Thank you.
I'll make the comparison. I think that the class of 26 and 27 in this area, or for this area, could be what the D1 college classes of 24 and 25 are doing for girls basketball at a national level right now. Like I'll go to war over that right now because you two, Allie Payne, Olivia, the girls at Shaker like Hoblock, and Oh, that reminds me. I have a picture of Aliyah and Peyton somewhere, I thought. Oh,
Not that picture.
no. Oh, no. Where is it? Hold on. I got to try to find that because it's a hilarious picture.
Wait, but how long ago was it?
That was like
Oh, where
Fourth
is
fourth
it?
grade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I don't, oh, here it is. 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 Sorry. Yeah, this one.
That doesn't seem fair.
Gosh, the difference.
That does not look fair. I'm
Between her
sorry.
legs.
Yeah. How I can't. I don't even know how old this could possibly be. Honestly.
And that's like 5'7" versus 4.
Not even.
I was about to say, be nice. Be
4.
nice.
2.
Yeah, yeah. Sorry, I had to. I'm sorry.
Okay.
You've embraced it because
Yeah.
whatever. All right. So, anyways, I have to say that as much as I thought I knew the Pearson family, the last 6 months have been wonderful getting to follow along this ride for you guys, whether it be Annalise's senior year at RPI or what you girls did at Colonie. And then the Trimarchis, I mean, the Trimarchis, obviously. I mean, it's been a crazy 6 months for all three kids in that household, whether it be Damon or a Colonie. But you two definitely have something special. Aliyah's the Energizer Bunny that never runs out of energy at point guard. And Ella's just like the shifty swing that nobody seems to be able to defend. So it's wonderful to watch your game and enjoy it. And the fact that I'll be able to sit on the sidelines for another 3 years to announce games with you two playing, I can roll with that. That's pretty cool, I think. So Ella Trimarchi, Aliyah Pearson, thank you both very much. And you can tell your parents I said hello, by the way. Thank you for coming.
Thank
Thank you for having us.
Bye.
No problem. Ella Trimarchi, Aliyah Pearson from, oh God, I wrote the wrong person. There we go. Yeah, I know. Well, maybe I like them better than you right now. I don't know. Just kidding. From Colonie Central, the AAA sectional champions from this year. Yeah, I mean, what else did you really expect other than what we got from them? They're great.
Right. No, they're two young guards, and they've been through it. Like I don't know how they couldn't have been good. They had no option. Like they had two other siblings in front of both of them that were like showing them the way. So
right, exactly.
I think their Capital District. I think they may have George might have the greatest record in the history of the Capital District since like 4th grade to 8th grade with those two. So
yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, it's as I was regretful to not mention this episode we were going to acknowledge the bloodline because like I said when I called that 3 for Aliyah in the sexual semifinals, it's in their blood, man.
right.
Like
It's not too often you have 3 families come through. Like you had the Wood sisters at Averill Park. Like you had a couple other, but it doesn't happen too often. So like it doesn't happen as often as you would think.
Yeah, I mean it's remarkable to watch and witness, and obviously now we have the Lanny sisters over at Shaker, so that's another family coming through. I'd also throw out there the Herder family. You see all those kids that came through, whether it be Kevin or Megan or now Jillian. So yeah, it's a family affair over at Colonie Central. What can I say? And that battle for Colonie is going to be something the next 3 years, man.
Yeah, no, it's all 10th graders. If you think about the final game, everyone that was a part of that game, like Jayla was on one side, Hoblock's on 10th grader. These two are 9th graders. Like Olivia Hoffman is a 10th grader. Like they have some players.
Yeah, both the Lannys are freshmen as well. Yeah, they're going to be interesting. By the way, they're 2 AAU teams real quick. So Aliyah playing with the Lanny sisters, as well as Tanaya Monfort, Malia Jackson. Ella has Akari Gaddy, who we mentioned 2 episodes ago in the Catholic Central show.
Yep.
The big difference maker that helped Catholic Central win the state title. Jayla Jeter, who we just mentioned from Shaker. Olivia Hoffman, Ella's teammate from Colonie. Maya Parker, who's the sophomore point guard from Shen. So, I mean, they're
Bailey.
The 518 is blessed these next few years at minimum.
Yeah,
with the talent in girls basketball.
really
so,
good.
That all being said, that wraps it up. Unless you got something you want to bring up, I think we're good.
I think we're good. I think everything we went over good. 2 good guests, and we'll be good. We'll be good going forward, and we're gonna keep rolling through the spring and summer, and be good to go.
Absolutely. And what we'll do is, well, obviously, I know we wanted to discuss the whole recruitment scheduling through the NCAA's. That's a whole bear and a half that we'll tackle at some
It
point.
is,
But
yeah, because Gym Rat Live's technically during a dead period, so it's a weird. Is it really live? Is it not? It's a whole thing that we'll go over.
good job, John. Good job. kidding, Mr. K Mac. I'm kidding. That all being said, thanks for tuning in episode 7 of 84 Feet with Cady and Cap. If you're on YouTube, like the video, subscribe to the channel, turn on that notification bell. If you're on Spotify, subscribe to the channel, leave a review for the show, and that would be wonderful as well. And we're on Twitter, X, whatever you're calling it, at 84 Feet Podcast. Coach Cap, I'm Brian Cady. With that being said, au revoir, adios.
See ya.